Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about proteins, their structure, and how they undermine the theory of evolution. There are many types of proteins, from those containing at least 50 amino acids to those containing thousands of amino acids. Proteins are one of the great pieces of evidence that demolish the theory of evolution at its very first stage and proves creation. First, let's briefly explain what protein is. Protein means a lot more than we usually think. Most of the substance that makes up our body is protein. However, there are very different proteins from each other. For example, what turns the sugar we eat into energy that the body can use is a protein called hexokinase. The skin is made up of a large amount of protein called collagen. When a light beam hits the retina of your eye, it first reacts with a protein called rhodopsin. Proteins have many different functions in the body, and they can only do their own work. For example, rhodopsin cannot form skin or collagen is not photosensitive. For this reason, there are hundreds of thousands of proteins in a single cell to carry out intracellular activities. So what does a protein look like? Protein is a molecular structure. It consists of much smaller molecules called amino acids joined together to form a chain. There are many types of proteins, from those containing at least 50 amino acids to those containing thousands of amino acids. Moreover, these amino acids are chosen from among 20 different types of amino acids. However, there is a very important point here: amino acids are not randomly aligned when forming proteins. On the contrary, every protein has a specific amino acid sequence, and if even a single amino acid is replaced in that sequence, the protein becomes a useless pile. We can compare proteins to writing. If we liken amino acids to letters, we can count a protein as a paragraph of several hundred letters. We form meaningful sentences by arranging 29 letters side by side. In the same way, 20 different amino acids combine in different orders to form different proteins. However, if attention is paid, the sequence here definitely requires a conscious sequencer. Because in order for a meaningful writing to emerge, the letters that make up the text must be chosen consciously and arranged one after the other. You can do a simple experiment on this if you want. Take a computer in front of you and close your eyes and randomly press the keys on the keyboard 500 times. When you open your eyes, you will definitely encounter a meaningless confusion of letters. With this method, you will never be able to create a meaningful text, or even a meaningful and long word. If you want to repeat this experiment a million times, the result will not change. If you want to keep pressing the keys for billions of years, you'll just end up with trillions of pages of meaningless letters. You will never get a meaningful paragraph. And just as a meaningful text cannot be formed in this way, amino acids cannot form proteins by arranging them randomly. Well, if proteins are such complex structures, then how do they form? In living bodies, proteins are made according to codes written in the DNA inside the cell. But the real problem is how the first proteins were formed before this mechanism occurred. Of course, who wrote this code in DNA is another matter. The incredibly complex structures of proteins, which we have mentioned above, of course prove that they were created by a conscious will. Since this will cannot exist in any living thing, it is a supreme creator, that is, Allah, who created all living things. This is a certain and undeniable fact. In the face of this situation, scientists who defend evolution make very interesting statements and confessions. One of Turkey's foremost authorities on evolution, Professor Ali Demiroy, admits the possibility of the formation of cytochrome C, which is only one of the most essential proteins for life, by chance. In essence, the probability of generating the sequence of a cytochrome C is next to zero. In other words, if life requires a certain arrangement, it can be said that it has such a low probability that it will occur once in the entire universe. Or, supernatural forces, which we cannot describe, played a role in its formation. It is not scientifically relevant to accept the latter. Then it is necessary to examine the first assumption. In fact, protein formation is a much more difficult task than that. Because the examples we have covered so far, always think on two dimensions, whereas, amino acid sequence occurs in a three-dimensional space. This combination does not happen in a straight way as in words. Since the amino acids are attached to each other at different junctions, the whole structure becomes a folded three-dimensional structure. This makes the already impossible claim of random sequence even more impossible. In short, creation is obvious. Anyone who studies life with common sense and conscience can easily see this. Despite this, the reason why many atheist scientists still exist is that they adhere to atheism like a religion. They have conditioned themselves not to believe in the existence of the Creator, no matter what evidence they see.